name is Rony. I'm the parish priest at Star of the Sea Catholic Parish, Cleveland. We read in Leviticus chapter 25, verse 10, consecrate 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. It shall be a Jubilee year for you. 2024 is the Jubilee year for Star of the Sea Parish. And for me, personally, 2024 is a Jubilee year for two reasons. First of all, it is the golden Jubilee of my parish community, where I am now, Star of the Sea. Secondly, it is the 50th year of my parents' marriage. So, it is the year to celebrate our faith, our family, and friendship.
My name is Father Bradley Davies, and I've been in the parish for 10 months. I came to the parish late 2023, just before Christmas, when I was ordained a deacon in preparation for the priesthood. So this is my first ever parish experience as an ordained person. And after being ordained to the priesthood on the 7th of June in 2024, I was fortunate enough to be given the rest of the year in the parish as a newly ordained priest.
My name is Bernice Fischer, and I am a traditional custodian from Quandamooka country. My connection to Star of the Sea Parish is that the church, St. Paul of the Cross at Dunwich, is part of the Star of the Sea Cleveland Parish. I have been a permanent member of Star of the Sea since 1997. Prior to that, I lived in central Queensland with my husband and children, and so we moved back here in 1997, and I started bringing the children to 8:30 Mass on a Sunday morning with Father Brown.
Yes, I'm now Merl Hurley. I used to be Merl Despot. I was born here, and my two brothers and sister and I all went to church here, the old church, and my father was a businessman, and he would help out when he could when the church were having fetes and things like that. The old church was a lovely building, very cool, and when the children went to Mass, the local children, we all sat up in the front seats. My brother Ray, who was now 91, he was an altar boy for 4 years, and he was telling me now they would have to sit on the front seat of the front steps of the altar and face the congregation, and all the children in the front would poke faces at them and try and make them laugh. So underneath the church there was a big room which was very low ceilinged, and later on in years they all did square dancing down there, and the rafters were so low though they had to keep dodging. Yes. In the church itself was a big organ, but it was a pedal organ, and they provided these big cardboard pieces with about 60 hymns on, and these were, each week we picked 2 or 3 of those and we would sing those regardless. The lovely ones, Faith of Our Fathers, Queen of Heaven, I Sing a Hymn to Mary, all of those were there and we all joined in. Yeah.
My name's Col Boyle, and I've been a member of this parish on and off for over 84 years. I was born at the hospital quite near to the present-day church in Cleveland, and I lived in the old doctor's house around in Middle Street, just around the corner, which is probably within a couple of 100 metres of the church. So it was very much part of my childhood. I attended Cleveland State School, and then later on we moved for a while up to Brisbane because my mother wanted me to go to a brother's school. She thought that that might reform us. Yes. So then we came back to the parish to live in 1970, and my wife and I bought an older Queenslander at the other end of Middle Street, and our children attended church here, went to the local state school, and my son, my fourth child, was one of the first children baptised in the new church. I worked as a catechist with the church for quite a few years. That in some way was to repay the teaching that I first got at the church when the nuns used to come down from Wynnum for 3 Sundays of the month.
We came there the same time as Father McKinley, just a month or so after, in 1965.
1965, wow.
So long.
So that was in the old church, was it?
Yes,
Yes,
yes. The old church was very dilapidated, but it had a noble look, you know. The only thing that really ended my affection for it was one day, because we sat near the front, we had the children, and Father McKinley always said he thought the front benches had white ants in them because nobody ever sat on them. So it made him feel lonely. We used to sit at the right near the front, and I was looking up and, you know, go to communion in those days to the rail, and it was under this archway. And I looked above the arch and I thought, that's a big fun. What's that? I didn't realise we had coats of arms or anything here, but great, big, bigger than that, fat. Oh, and I wondered what it was. We all lined up, went to communion, and I thought, I wonder what it is. We'll have to do, you know, I'll have to ask Father McKinley what that is. Anyway, the next week it was still the same, and I thought I've got to remember that. And then I looked at it, and I had another look, and I realised we were all lining up for communion underneath the biggest spider you have ever seen. It was huge. It wasn't one of the long-legged ones. It was fat and juicy. I taught him, nature stuff at school, and I had it ready to lay eggs because it's the female is the big spider, male is a little tiny spider.
So did you find out what kind it was?
Yes, it was a bird spider that had come over in a box of bananas. Yeah.
Wow.
And it just stood, and we all queued up, and I thought, I daren't say anything. If the kids hear, the whole place will explode in horror.
You didn't find out in later that it was there?
No, we didn't, not until after Mass. I don't know what he was then everybody realised what was up there.
Yes. It would have been exciting then to move into the new church, when then what, it was that in 1974 the new church was built.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but anyway, so really that was the death knell of the old church.
Yeah.
But when he came to
My name is Millie. I've been a parishioner at Star of the Sea for 8 years. I love the community at the church. It's so vibrant. What brings me joy is going to Mass and having chats with all the other parishioners, the fellowship, the worship, and just the love I think that we share as a community. I think the church is so great because they have a lot of, they have ecumenical masses, which I think is important, to gather with other churches and celebrate the love of the Lord.
My name's Tanya Porter and I've been with the Star of the Sea school and parish since about 2011 when my boys went to Star of the Sea, and then I became part of the staff. My role now is in a support teacher inclusive education, which I think aligns perfectly with our connection to the parish, because I know the parish and the school share a similar mission around being a welcoming and inclusive and vibrant Catholic community, but that inclusion is so important for myself and for the school. I know back in, before the doors opened in 2009, Father Frank, and the parish at the time had a vision to really open up the Star of the Sea community. They wanted to make sure that, other families and young families could access, the Catholic faith, and for it to continue to grow and be nurtured. I think over time this dynamic partnership has grown and gotten more dynamic and fun and rich. The involvement of the priests has always been so active and fluid and easy. Quite often our priests have come into the school welcoming, casual conversations with students. They've been able to, play soccer and handball and participate in activities. I know Father Ashley was well known for his ability to know every student staff's name, which was amazing, and those kids challenged him every time he walked through the gate. Whereas Father Rony and Father Bradley, they're quick to, pop on the dress-up outfits for Book Week and dance down that red carpet. Those things bring joy to our students, and I think that connection between the parish and the school, it's like an extended family. Sometimes we go to your place for dinner and we attend masses and celebrations at the church. Sometimes they come to our place and they join us for class visits or whole school celebrations. So it's a really to and fro kind of partnership, one that's got a strong spiritual foundation, one that's guided by the parish, which sort of makes us all feel like we're part of something bigger. We're not doing this journey alone, and the kids know that they're part of the bigger family.
We came back, and as I said, I was amazed that my husband decided to come back from Canberra and stay here. And if you had said to me I was going to end up where I was born, I would have said you were nuts, absolutely. Yeah. And anyhow, I'm so happy we did. It's one of the best places to live in, and this particular church now, we're quite progressive, and it's interesting, and a lot of people volunteer to do things, which is good. In the beginning, my husband and I would come to Mass, come in the right door. Nobody really said hello, except people that remembered me from years ago. Yeah. So we sometimes decided we might go and find Victoria Point, we might drive to Manly But then eventually, one of the ladies that knew me well said, "Would you please come and play the organ?" And I said, "Oh, Bonnie, I've played the organ everywhere where I've lived, you know." And I said, "I thought I should retire." "Oh no." Anyway, they kept at me, and her mother became ill and she had to go away. "Would I please step in?" And I've been there ever since. And I'm 89 years old. I'll be 90 in January, and I'm still there on a Saturday night at 5:30.
Yeah, well, I was fairly involved because I've always had an interest in history, and I was on a small committee with the author of the booklet, Craig Gubby, who was a good friend of mine. Craig had had some experience as a writer of histories. He was he worked with the forestry department. He'd written some local histories for them, so he was the man for the job. But I was able to help with a lot of the research, having been here for a long time. And Cleveland was one of those places where everybody knew everybody else. So we not only knew people who lived in houses, we knew how one family was related to another. And yeah, so it was a much smaller place in many respects than it is now. Dennis Ryan was on the committee, also a gentleman called Col Rex. Yeah, Craig was the real driver of that project, and because I was on hand to sort of help with the history of the place and some of the proofreading and things like that. Being an ex-teacher, I was probably overqualified for that.
The new church, I was at stage, I was married to a military man, and of course we were sent everywhere. And when I came back, it was lovely to see that church. And we had a couple of older organs, and we eventually found this one we're still using, which is pretty old and is suffering a little bit. But I play 5:30 Mass still, and I play the organ because when you have a school with your church, everybody usually are piano players, and so they use the electric piano more than the organ. So my 5:30 Mass on a Saturday is the one they all like to hear, the organ. Somehow they say they feel they've been in church.
Well, all I can remember really are positive sort of things. We had a lot of, a great mix really of older people who were keen on seeing a new church built. We had a lot of young people, and a lot of them had sort of building sort of expertise or carpentry skills. And it was a very popular project with those people, and they worked underneath the old church in a hall there, building, and some work off-site. Bill Fitzpatrick and Jerry Gilhooly, they were probably the main drivers of that project, and they put a lot of love and dedication into it, and as a result we still have a lot of that church furniture today.
Because you know, the fact that I was born here, and we don't know how my father did it, but the four of us were all baptised here, and because I went away at 7, but from then my sister went to the nuns at Stanthorpe. I went up, this is boarding. My younger brother went to St Lawrence's as a day pupil. My older brother went to the other one, but eventually he boarded at Nudgee. So my father was paying for me to...
All of you, all of you to go to boarding school.
But God, he had to work hard.
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
There was 2 people. He had his official way, but there was a different man inside. But the thing about it was, I think, he came from McKinley. His family had a famine up there. It was where he was born, on a property, and as he said one day, all he got for his birthday was an extra cow to milk because he was a year older. So it wasn't, but that's the real story of the new church. They all shared, a farmhouse with the grandparents, and he slept in the sleep out, and his grandfather slept there too. But the old man, he seemed, I don't know, might have been a bit of a rascal, but anyway, he used to pray to Our Lady every night, and he said the lady came and listened to him, talked with him, and the family all laughed at him and if Our Lady wouldn't come and spend her time with a whole lot like you. But one night when he was about 12, he woke up right in the middle of the night, and the old man was kneeling, praying, and Our Lady was there too, and he saw her and his grandfather.
That's
together.
a wonderful story.
And that is why he was a priest.
Wonderful.
He was very devoted to Our Lady. And being the Star of the Sea, the only stipulation he made to the men, and like my father and that and the architect, the church had to look like a star from above, because he felt that the golden light of his people, their faith and their prayers would light up his church and reflect her star with his star, so that it was there to praise her.
Beautiful.
And that's why it's, if you look at it from above when it's lit, it looks like a star. It's the shape of a star.
Yeah, but there was certainly a lot of continuity too, because Father McKinley, he was appointed, I think, in the 60s, and he passed away in August 94, I think. So we had that long period, and then we had a very good priest in Father Brown, and then we had Frank, whom you possibly remember, and he was quite a, one very much concerned with parish activities and having a thriving, vibrant parish. And he was also good with children, encouraging them, and he was the main driving force behind the new school. And I was very privileged to be asked to be a member of the steering committee for that school. It was lovely to see it come to fruition, and now I have a grandson at the school.
What are your first memories of this church, the new church?
Even though the Dunwich parish has been part of Star of the Sea parish, my first memory was moving back here in '97 and bringing the children here. I did not know where to sit, so I just chose seats on the right-hand side, the left-hand side of the church, and little did I know that that seat that I chose belonged to Col and Mary Boyle. So the two kids and I were sitting there, and then next minute in came this family and we had their seat. So I went to move, and Col and Mary both said, "Don't move, we'll share it with you."
So you had a permanent seat in the parish, did you?
I did have a permanent seat, and the other thing I remember about Father Brown, because I was worried about the children making a noise, he came up to me because he knew me from Stradbroke, or when I'd come home on holidays. So he came up and he told me to bring food and books for the children, and that there was no need for me to take them into that children area. He was quite happy for me to sit with them, with the Boyles.
When we came here, it was Father McKinley. We had Father Brown, we've had Father Ashley, Father O'Day, and now we've got Father Rony. And I believe in January we will have somebody else. And we do have the deacons who have been here for several months before they finally are ordained. So we've got Father Bradley at the moment. Mm-hmm. And we had Father Gerard before that, yes. So that part of the church, that is good, that we were helping young men in their priestly.
When we arrived at the church, Father Ashley was the priest, and he was just a joy, so easy to talk to and communicate with. And then we were quite disappointed when we left, but Father Rony arrived. Father Rony arrived, and this was his first parish as a parish priest. And it was lovely because he was foreign and he brought something different to the church, and I find him easy to understand. He's brilliant at what he does. We sad to see him go, but we also have had some seminarians at our church that have been really great as well, to see the integration of the priests. And
So I wanted to take you back to one of the first homilies that Father Ashley gave to our whole school mass. It was right at the beginning of the year. You know, the church was full, it was hot because it was summer. So we had, new little preppies that were 5 years of age. We had their families, we had the whole school, we had staff, we had parishioners joining us as well. So you can just imagine delivering a homily to such a diverse group of people could be so challenging. But Father Ashley just did such a beautiful job. And the story that he told was about a church that was up on the hill, and it was part of a small village. And when all the villagers would attend mass, they'd walk up the hill, but because it was so far from the small town, there was no electricity. So all the villagers would bring up their lanterns and they'd bring it into the church to light it up. And Father Ashley spoke about this light representing, the light of God, the light of Jesus, and that Christ is lighting our way. And he goes on to talk about that after Mass, everyone would walk home with their lantern and that light would guide them home. So the message he sort of wanted to tell the students and the rest of the congregation was, God's message is strong when we're in the church, but when we go out from and we leave the church, we need to share this light with others. And so it's not just at school, it's not at home, it's out in the community that we need to share this light. And so I think when we talk about how the parish and the schools support children's faith journey, I kind of see it like Father Ashley did back in the days, telling this homily, where each child has a little flicker of light, and it's the parish and the school's role and job to nurture and support that light. So just like the lantern, we're kind of encompassed around that little flicker of light, making sure that it doesn't go out, that it continues to grow, and that they can take their light beyond Star of the Sea, out into the community. So we might be doing that through prayer at school. We might be doing it through meditation or acts of service or attending a sacramental program or attending a mass. So there's so many different ways that we can nurture and support that. But the family feel that we have between the parish and the school and the Star of the Sea community is one of fostering and protecting that light.
I found the community to be very positive, particularly with having the school and the church and the office all together in the one place. Hearing the bell of the school go off, I can hear it from the church, I can hear it from the office. Hearing the children when they go out to play, and just seeing people from the school community and from the parish around in the one place has just given me a real good sense of the community. And that sort of thing I feel doesn't just happen overnight. That's a community that has been built over a long time by a lot of people who are interested in each other in the community. And I've only felt very supported by everybody, by Father Rony, our current priest, by the staff and students at the school, and by our office staff and many volunteers around the Cleveland parish. The other aspect I've enjoyed has been obviously the trips to Stradbroke Island, not just because it's a lovely place, but because that's a place where I have had relatives growing up. It's a place I'd been going to on holidays since I was born. So I guess I've got that sort of history with the island. So to be able to go over there and connect on a parish level, go over there dressed up in my nice clothes rather than my beach clothes, it has been a very positive experience. And I've just enjoyed particularly living in the Redlands area. Very nice part of the world, but as I've already said, some pretty good people there as well.
So another really strong and special connection between the parish and the school is the parishioners' involvement into our school life. Over the years we've had parishioners come and help out with reading programs, and I know the kids just think it's just beautiful that they get to spend that special time with someone that's going to listen and talk and read with them. You know, I remember one student describing it like spending time with a grandma. So they just feel special and nurtured. Other parishioners have come and shared their knowledge of geology and tapped into, you know, the little inquisitive minds of our students. And then recently, over the last couple of years, we've had quite a group of parishioners come and teach the grade 5 and 6s how to knit. And as much as that is quite challenging, it's purposeful because, you know, they're jointly knitting scarves for the homeless, supporting Rosies, which is really showing, you know, the core values of our school and our parish of love, service and compassion, where children are working together with the parishioners to provide a service, to show their compassion and to show that, you know, the Catholic faith can move beyond, you know, the actual church.
Father McKinlay was really opposed to the idea of a school in the parish. I don't really know why, but he always said that the area of land there was too small to accommodate a school. But having said that, he was very encouraging of Sunday school classes, and we had always had a Sunday school program for the children, and at times there would have been upward of 100 students, say, at the Sunday school classes. And then later on we switched to afternoon classes in Frank's day, and that worked really well too.
Some of my other fond experiences have been, again, interactions with the school, but more specifically just getting involved with some of their special days. I remember dressing up in my pyjamas on the pyjama day, dressing up as an old person on the 100 days of school. The funniest part of that experience was the principal didn't actually know it was me when I walked through the gate, so she got a little bit worried. But I thought I must have done very, very well with my costume then. And the kids just seemed to get into it a lot, even just kicking the soccer ball around with them on the oval, chatting to them in the playground. I found that's just so important for that school and parish link. And so too as being a part of the youth group, helping out with that, being one of the leaders, giving a bit of input here and there, running some games. And I find for priests, for me, that's been important, just because when they see you get dressed up in the vestments, you're not just father in the church, they actually know you and you know them, and I think that's very important for the parish.
Friendship, camaraderie, and the fact that even though you might not get on with some people, you're all friendly and you all accept each other, what you are and what you can do.
Yeah.
And I think that's very, very important.
Today, I think it is that multicultural element, and the new technology, which means following things, is facilitated. Yeah, so there's a lot to like about the modern day church. It's just a pity, I think, that you remember the massive congregations, sometimes standing room only, from the old days, and now you go in and it's just a little bit more sparse there.
Many years ago, we do the Corpus Christi March, and the one we used to start over at the Church of England and come to the Uniting, and then come back to our church. Again, we still do the big march, and we have been to. I know in my time when I first came back, we had been over to the Uniting Church and. Spent time there they wanted to see, and they came to our church to see what we do when we have reconciliation and things like that they don't know anything about.
Well, Cleveland's been fortunate in that there's always been a high degree of cooperation between the various religious groups, the Uniting Church over the way, the church, the Anglican Church, and Lutheran Church in particular, and so they've always been prepared to meet and collaborate. But yeah, I think I'd certainly like to see more reaching out to children who aren't in the Catholic school system, to get them more involved through, perhaps an afternoon catechetical program arranged by the church.
Star of the Sea is on Quandamooka country. For those who don't know, it starts south of the Brisbane River, goes down to the Logan River, and does take in parts of the Redlands area. So Star of the Sea is located on country.
Yeah, well, Cleveland always had, from when I can remember, had a very big Italian community, most of whom were small crops farmers. There were Dutch people in our parish as well, but today it's far more multicultural.
I think the biggest connection, the priests, they were the initial connection coming over. If they didn't come over, we would not have had church. But the biggest connection was, for me, when Father O'Day came and he started the All Nations Committee. And that was the opportunity where us as Quandamooka people could become inclusive to the church, because we were recognised then as the traditional owners, and in particular with the All Nations Mass. As well as All Nations, that was the big start of where we came and was accepted into this church here in Cleveland. But with the introduction by the Archdiocese of the Reconciliation Action Plan, and me being invited to be on their reconciliation reference group in the city, and starting up the committee that we have here now, and I think it was the beginning of the education Even though some of our parishioners might think that they know what they know about Aboriginal people, and in particular people in this area, the Reconciliation Action Plan is the way forward so that we can all come together and learn history. I think the planting of the midgeonberry bush out the front near the bell tower was a good start, because that bush was a staple food for our people over at Stradbroke, and a lot of the other churches, they were planting olive trees and other Australian trees, but I chose the midgeonberry because that is the plant that is close to everyone's heart.
What? Strive and survive. I know we'll survive.
Yeah.
But I think there's plenty of potential there. I'd like to see a lot more interaction between the parish and the school. Because I think both parties would have a lot to gain from that. But I'm optimistic about the future for the parish.
I hope that the Reconciliation Action Plan and the committee here at Star of the Sea are successful in reaching out to our parishioners.
The women have done so much in the church. I mean, you look up there, it's the women that...
Yes, that are driving a lot of the things that are happening, the functions and all of that. So it is great to see that. And yes, and we're also very lucky. Very blessed. You have a lot of different events in the church, like All Nations Day, which I think is lovely, welcoming all the immigrants and making everybody feel at home, which is important. Driving the youth to become more involved in the parish, and seeing women step up to more important roles in the church.
Well, I think Father Rony had started a thing that we all needed, like bigger toilets, better parking and things like that. So we keep that going, that will happen, yes.
On the 17th of November, the day of our Jubilee celebrations, the Archbishop will light another Jubilee candle, which will then lead us on to celebrating the 150 years of the parish, which will be in the year 2027.
All the wishes and prayers of the Golden Jubilee. We remember and pray for all the people who place their time, talents and treasures to build up our church and to build up our parish community. Our Lady Star of the Sea, or Stella Maris, signifies Mary's role as a guiding star on the way to Christ. Blessed Virgin Mary is a role model and a guiding star for our faith journey. In the same way, Star of the Sea Parish is and should be a lighthouse for many on their spiritual life. A golden milestone achieved, 5 decades of faith, love and deeds. May our parish light keep shining in the life of many to achieve the divine design. A big cheers to remark our big milestone. Let us celebrate.